Yeah, unfortunately I ballsed up the save on round one, but I did want to put this draft up because I thought it was a really interesting draft. So what I'm going to do, because I didn't record round one live, as it were, I'm going to replay the match and just talk through how it went from my perspective, which is basically the same thing, to be honest. But it lets you see round one. You're not going to have seen round 2 or 3 already by this point, but round 2 or 3 both recorded fine. Round 1 for some reason didn't record. I think I made a mistake with OBS. So you've watched the draft already. This is how round 1 went. It's a very quick round, so don't worry, you're not going to be sitting through a particularly long match or anything like that. And then round 2 or 3 you'll see recorded live effectively. So let's play this out. Let's see how it goes. We won the die roll. Let me just do this step by step. So yeah, we got a land out. It was a fairly easy keep, as you could see. We had both our colours. We had a couple of 2-drops. We had the magma spray. So yeah, very easy keep as far as these go. Our opponent plays turn 1 Fanbear, which is exactly what we want to see when you've got magma spray in hand like this. So we obviously immediately magma spray that away. We can't do anything turn 2, unfortunately. We don't have a 2-drop, which is a little bit annoying. So we do have to pass the turn. What does our opponent play here? I'm trying to remember from this game. Okay, he plays Aura Crop Captain, which is obviously a much, well, I would argue a better target for magma spray, to be honest, but the ship has sailed on that decision. I still think it's the correct to magma spray away the Fanbearer. We didn't know we weren't going to draw a 2-drop. We've got a bunch of 3-drops. So I still think that was the correct play, but yeah. Obviously I think I would rather have had the Aura Crop Captain. Here we just play with the first of our 2 initiates. We don't want to play Combat Celebrant too quickly. We don't want it to die. And also it has a nice combo with the Crop Crasher. So we need to be careful with that. Our opponent swings. Obviously, we have to presume our opponent has a trick here. There's no doubt about that. But I still think it's worth getting, knowing that we can bring back the initiate, knowing that we have another initiate in hand. I think it's worth getting this trick out of hand now, rather than it hitting something like the Combat Celebrant. So I'm happy to snap block and see what our opponent has. Turns out to be impeccable timing, which I'm absolutely happy with that trade. It stops our opponent from developing his board. He basically skips a turn, and we top deck Ember Horn Minotaur, which is a much bigger board presence than Honor Crop Captain by itself. Similar decks, obviously, at this point. Opponent swings. Obviously, we don't block this time. We don't want to be trading our a 3-2 for a 4-3. So we take it on the chin. Opponent plays Red Crop Spearmaster. We have a decision to make here. We draw lands. Do we want to compulsory rest the Spearmaster? And I think we do. There's a number of reasons for this, but it's the options are we could flashback the Unwavering Initiate, or we could play compulsory rest and their initiate is in hand, and I think that's a better play, just to get in for damage. It nullifies the Honor Crop Captain's ability. It just means we're kind of ahead considerably in the race. There is an argument of, again, for keeping the removal back for something more significant, but our opponent isn't pushing us at all. He seems to have a similar deck to us. It's not unreasonable to presume that he doesn't have anything ridiculous in hand. I mean, he had 4 mana there available to him, and his best card he could play was Spearmaster. He didn't have a 4-drop in hand. He could have a 5-drop. He could be waiting for land or something like that. But I think in terms of mana efficiency, it's better to just compulsory rest the Spearmaster and play out our initiate, which is, I think, what I did. Or did I play Celebrant? I can't remember. We'll soon find out. Yeah, we played Initiate, which I think is the correct call. Again, if our opponent has something like Magma Spray, we want him to do it to something like the Initiate rather than the Celebrant. So, opponent hits his 5th land drop, so we're cautiously waiting here to see if it was a mistake to get rid of the Spearmaster. He plays True Heart Twins, so it probably was a mistake, to be perfectly honest, with hindsight. We untap, we draw and Crop Crasher, so we have our combo online there. We play Combat Celebrant. we swing with our 4-3 obviously, and if our opponent wants to trade, we can exert it here, and we can trade with him with the True Heart Twins, which we're absolutely happy to do here. We'll be able to untap it with the Celebrant next turn anyway and swing with it still, so I'm absolutely happy here to trade off the True Heart Twins for the and kind of take that decision out of our opponent's hands. Of course, he then elects not to block. We play our Combat Celebrant. Pass the turn. Now here our opponent cycles a Ketra's Attendant, which I think is a strange decision. I personally think he was insane not to just play it here. I mean, obviously he's thinking he could, play it again next turn or something like that. But I think our opponent needs blockers here. I mean, he's obviously thinking he's digging for removal for the Celebrant, but the Celebrant's not as good as he thinks. He can still jump it with something like the Honoured Croc Captain. So I was a little bit surprised by this, by him cycling that. And our opponent concedes. I was very, very surprised at that. Our opponent just flat out concedes there and then with the Combat Celebrant. I mean, he doesn't know that we have Ancrop Crasher in hand. If he knows we have that in hand, obviously it's a straight concession. But without knowing what our hand is, that's a bizarre concession to me. I think he conceded far too early there. But we take it and we move on to game 2, which I shall show you now. Okay, so obviously we are on the draw for this game. Very good starting hand. We have a 1-drop, 2 3-drops, which we could cast both of, and then a 4-drop later on. I mean, the only thing you would hope for over and above that would be to top deck a 2-drop of some description. Opponent plays Plains. We draw a 1-drop, and there's no reason not to play that here because obviously it's not unreasonable that Magma Spray can kill, I think, pretty much every 2-drop in the format. Pretty sure that's the case. I'm trying to think of any 2-drops that Magma Spray doesn't kill, so it's better to just get the Sacred Cat out here, and we can play Magma Spray next turn. We've got no 2-drops anyway, so I think rather than holding up Magma Spray, just let our opponent play his 2-drop, and we can then decide if we're going to Magma Spray it. Opponent plays a land, so he obviously doesn't have his red mana. He plays Gustwalker, which is fine. We top deck a land, play our Mountain, play our Magma Spray on the Gustwalker, getting rid of it. Swing for 1 with our Secret Cat. Pass the turn. Opponent draws for the turn and concedes, which is absolutely astounding to me. As you'll see in one of the later rounds, you can win off a bad draw. I'm absolutely astounded that our opponent elected to concede there. Big mistake from him, in my opinion. I make mistakes too, as you're about to find out in the second round. A little bit of foreshadowing there for you. But yeah, our opponent concedes there and then, and we win round 1. So join me in a moment for round 2, which will play out normally rather than as a playback. And I'll catch you then.